Hey folks, this is Nate coming at you on Saturday night on April 20th. So tonight we're going to be doing part 2 of my Canon Bladestyles. We're going to be going through some Attack of the Clones Soundfonts and Bladestyles. So this is going to be predominantly Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, the Tusken Terminator stuff from Kyberphonic, Yoda, Mace Windu, and Count Dooku. So we're going to start with Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan!
So this is Obi-2, the Camino version from Kyberphonic. Now this is a double audio flicker. And this is a slightly, blue, actually, I think this may be the same color I'm using from Phantom Menace. No, it's not. It's a different one. So this is a different color variant on his blue. This is I'm using a value of 3 in the red channel, value of 32 in the green channel, and then 223 in the blue. Now specifically with this, the Camino version, because the fight with Jango Fett takes place like in the rain and in sort of dark, stormy weather, the way that the Saber is filmed in that scene almost gives it sort of a strobe. So what I did was I set a top RGB layer, which is the full blade color, and then I set 2 audio flicker layers below it. One is at 50% and then the other one is at 25%. And so what ends up happening is you get this sort of shading effect. It's not quite a strobe, but more of a double layering effect, but not quite a strobe. Now his blasts against Jango Fett have a little bit more red in them. So I took that into account as well.
Some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
Sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Master Kenobi, you disappoint me.
And this is Obi-2, the Geonosis version. So this is the same blue, but on this one I reincorporated the subtle emitter flare. And this is a, let's see, yeah, this is a static single color blade with a bright swing. And the swing on this one is just very subtle. What I'm doing is I'm actually, it's like less than 10%. So it's a very, very subtle brightness increase, but it's probably so subtle you probably won't notice the brightness increase on the swing during the day, but you will notice it at night. And then again, I'm also leaving that full blade instant color on the clasp. So this blade is more indicative of his scene fighting against Dooku in the cave and on Geonosis.
May I ask why a Jedi Knight is all the way out here on Geonosis?
And this is Geonobi 1. And I'm trying to remember who this sound font was by. Geonobi 1. This was from Syndicate Custom Relics. And this one is a rotoscope. And I'll show you that ignition again. So what I'm doing on this ignition is it's brightening the blade by about 30%, and then drops back into the rotoscope blue. And then what I'm also doing on this blue, this is the same blue value as the other two in rotoscope form, but what I'm doing is I'm scaling it within the rotoscope style to give it just a little bit more of that pulse. But I wanted it to be a little bit, but I wanted it to be subtle. I didn't want the pulse. I didn't want it to pulse too hard. And then the blasts, again, to sort of accommodate for the sound font, I shortened the TR fade value on the blast so that they clear off the blade a little bit faster, just because the blast sounds on this particular sound font are a little shorter.
To face the trust.
I accidentally hit the roof.
Obi-Wan, Master, what be with Obi Master? May I ask why a Jedi Knight is all the way out?
I accidentally hit the roof on there. Turn the Saber off. Remember, I forgot I'm using a slightly longer blade tonight than I was on the first demo. Okay, so those are the three Attack of the Clones Kenobi styles. And again, as I mentioned before, this is sort of all in that one template, so they're all using that same color. RGB value that I've come up with for him specifically for Attack of the Clones. But then, as you can see, for each one there's some slight variations, right? So that's sort of been my whole theme throughout this project. So now we come to Anakin Skywalker for episode 2. Now, this first one is Tuscan Terminator V2 from Kyberphonic, and this is the Tuscan version. And these next three are all going to be Tuscan Terminator. So the first one is the Tuscan version, the second version is the Clan version, and then the third version is going to be the standard version. And then this version is an audio flicker with a bright swing. And I'm using sort of a striped ring on the ignition on this one. Might be hard to see on camera. And this is a slightly different blue than Obi-Wan's blue. This one has a little bit more red and a little bit more green, but it's got about 4 times the amount of red and about maybe 25% more green in the channel, but it's got a full value in blue. So the RGB on this one is a 1248-255. His lockup is a little bit lighter. It's got like more yellows and whites and less oranges.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
This is the Clan version of Tuscan Terminator, and this is a static single color with a bright swing. Again, we're using emitter flare on this one. I think it's responsive as you slightly twist the blade. Now this one has a little bit brighter of a light swing.
I'm Anakin Skywalker.
And then this is the standard version, which is a rotoscope. Now I did the color ratioing here the same way I did with the Obi-Wan version. Again, for the same effect, where I wanted a little bit of a pulse, but nothing too hard. But I am keeping the emitter flare here on this one. And then on all of these, there's a little bit of a brightness on the retraction as well.
Master window.
Okay, so here we come to Mace. Now, Mace Windu, he's got two purples that I've been able to sort of color match out. He's got a Attack of the Clones purple, which is the daytime, what I call the Geonosian purple. And then he's got the purple from Revenge of the Sith. So this is his Geonosian purple. Now this purple has a little bit more red in it than his purple from Revenge of the Sith. The challenge with purples is that a lot of times, as you can see, it suppresses a lot of the effect colors because the color is just so bright. So like a purple blade with like yellow and orange effects on top they don't come out nearly as prominent as they do on, say, like a dark red blade or like a dark blue blade, for example. So his lockup, I actually had to add a lot more gold and like dark oranges just to get it to show up similar to the lockup colors on Kenobi and Skywalker, for example. So this one actually has a bit more orange in it, even though it doesn't look like it. That's just because of the way the colors play against the orange versus the play against the purple against the other colors.
May the Force be with us all. Master Windu!
And then this is BMF from Kyberphonic, and this is another Geonosian purple. And this is the rotoscope version. And again, I'm scaling this color the same way I scaled the other two for Kenobi and for Skywalker. I'm using a little bit more gold on the blaster block on this one. And there are a couple of reasons for that. I wanted to make two variants with different blaster blocks because Mace Windu's blaster block effects against Jango Fett's blaster is different from the blaster block variants that he has when he's actually in the arena fighting the droid army. So I decided that the two variants I would make would have different blaster block colors to sort of account for that.
Master Yoda.
And then this is Attack of the Clones Yoda. And this is a half-step chartreuse. So this is a normal chartreuse is 55 in the red channel and 255 in the green. And with this, what I'm doing is 28 in the red channel and 255 in the green. his lockup has a little bit more red in it because he's the one that does like the most fighting against Dooku in that particular cave scene. And so with the red on green, the way that, you know, however the filming went, it just ended up showing a lot more like dark yellows and reds on his blade on lockups and clashes than it did on the blue blades.
Master Yoda.
And this is GrandMaster from KSith. Originally I had this in the Revenge of the Sith section, but I moved it up because I noticed that a lot of the quote tracks were actually from Attack of the Clones. So, and this is a rotoscope ratioed version. Again, doing the same, achieving the same sort of pulse layer with FET263 rotoscope that I was doing with the other ones. So essentially, all of these base Canon colors that I came up with the rotoscope, I sort of ratioed them all the same way, where I'm doing like 100% and then 50% and then either 33% or 25%, and that's just to give it that pulse effect. Now I know by default, like if you were to go into FET's style library and just do like a rotoscope and just choose like a particular color, it would just give you that color straight through. So whenever you go into FET's library and you pick like a particular style for your main blade, I highly encourage you to play around with the colors. So like if you choose a green, you know, it's going to give you like green all the way across, which is like, you know, RGB 0, 255, 0. Play around with it, you know, put it in the style editor and ratio out like by 66% and 33%, ratioed out by 75%, 50%, 25%, and just see how the effects come out on the blade style. It may end up being something that you like better. And if it isn't, you can always just change it back to the default. That's part of what makes playing with Proffie so much fun. So that is the Yoda Green, which is basically like a half-step chartreuse.
Count Dooku.
All right, now these last, I think I have 3 Count Dookus, yeah. So I've got 3 Count Dookus. The first one is Duke from KSith.
As you see, my Jedi powers are far beyond yours. Now, back down.
So this is a half-step red with a full red bright swing. And this is the Count's Claw from Kyberphonic. Now that one has a bright ignition. I'll show you that again. And it's I believe this one I'm using a pulsing layer on it too. So this one has a 2-second pulse layer, which goes from a third step red to a full red, and then back down again.
The truth. You have interfered with our affairs for the last time. It is obvious that this contest cannot be decided by our knowledge of the Force, but by our skills with a lightsaber.
And this is ExquisiteTyrannus, and this is the last one in the config. And this is from Syndicate Custom Relics. And this is a rotoscope. Again, using the same pulse setup. You know, the same ratioing of color as with all the other ones. So then again, getting back to the whole templating thing. So the blaster block clashes lockups are all the same across, and really where the variation is the type of main blade that I'm using. Even though I'm basically keeping the color ratio, the color value the same, I'm using different types of main blade styles to achieve different sort of textural effects.
I would have thought you had learned your lesson. This is just the beginning.
So those are my blade styles for Attack of the Clones, Episode 2, for Light and Dark. And yeah, so we'll be going into Revenge of the Sith for Episode 3. That's going to have a lot more, probably about at least 20 or 25, so I'm likely to break those up between one video clip for light side, one video clip for dark side. Just the Palpatine presets alone is going to be at least like 7 or 8. And then the Anakin stuff between his light side and dark side. There's a lot of different Anakin stuff out there, all good sound fonts. So yeah, so look for that coming soon. So, and then as always, I will leave a link to my paste bin where you can grab these blade styles if you would like them. All right, thanks to y'all for watching. Take care. Have a great weekend.